Hey, Tigers are in the middle of a 4-game set with the White Sox. Hendon Hooker got the start at home against the Steelers. Stick around, see what we have to say.
Turn that off! It's time for No Pad Sports Talk. Stay tuned as two brothers bring you the latest from your Michigan teams and beyond in hockey, baseball, football, and more. Let's get started. Here are your hosts, JD and Steve.
Welcome, everybody, to the show. We are here on a kind of a beautiful Saturday night. Not too hot, not too cold. Really nice outside. And we are here to talk some Tigers and Lions. Lions played the third preseason game today. And Tigers just finished up their game against the White Sox, their second game here, the 4-game set. It's currently about 10 o'clock at night, so we just got to see that game end. And now we're going to go talk about it.
Absolutely. So you get some fresh reactions to that game. As my brother mentioned, he's JD and I'm Steve.
Maybe.
That's okay.
I don't know.
He might be.
Doppelganger.
But, welcome to No Pad Sports Talks. For the first time, if you've been here, hey, we appreciate you, those new listeners. But if you guys, I know everyone who does a YouTube video probably says something like this, but hit that like button and subscribe. We would appreciate that.
We definitely do appreciate it. But yeah, thanks for everybody tuning in. Let's get started with the Lions since they played earlier today. They played first. Let's go ahead and kind of talk about that game.
Yeah, and so unfortunately, I was playing with my granddaughter. She picked me today, and I missed the entire game. So I was catching up, just looking at stats. I really want to talk about Hendon Hooker. He was 60% passing. Not a lot of yards per attempt, but he had like 93 yards of rushing to go along with 146 or maybe 115 yards passing.
114,
I forget what
technically,
but yeah. So I knew it was basically 200 yards of offense, right?
Yeah.
So we'll call that the good 60% completion rate. That's good, right? He had a touchdown. Throwing the ball. Did have an interception.
Wasn't on him, though.
And again, I didn't see the game, so I don't know what happened there. So he did have the interception. The thing I guess I didn't like is that when he was running the ball, right? I'm not sure but he had 2 fumbles. One of which he lost. So it's a little concerning. Because, the quarterback, you got to be able to take care of the ball, specifically if you're going to run, if you're going down. But on the backside of that, the guy took 5 sacks, right?
Yeah.
So that doesn't help the situation either. So I think overall, just some of the stuff that I saw from Hendon Hooker, I like what I've seen. Obviously, I think he submitted himself as the backup quarterback. I know we said that last week. But we talked about we were hoping that he would get the start. He did. And I guess I kind of thought maybe our starters might play a series. But that didn't happen either, which is fine. I mean, the coaches know who they're going to get, and they're trying to play the players because cutdown day is just around the corner. So I think they have to have their 53-man rosters. I think it's Tuesday. Was when they got to have it final cutdown day. But I mean I could be wrong, but I'm almost positive it's Tuesday. So I mean that's a tough decision from a coaching standpoint. Especially if you've got like 60 guys on your team, right? You're trying to go to 7 lockers and talk to 7 guys, and I'm sure they've got more than that on the team right now because they're going to try and fill their practice squad up too. And correct me if I'm wrong, brother, but I think with the practice squad, don't those guys all get waived? And then if they clear waivers, they can get put back on the practice squad, correct?
Yes, that is
If
correct.
I remember right.
Yes.
So, even the guys that they may want on their practice squad, they may not get on their practice squad because they get picked up by some other team on their practice squad.
Right.
So, it's a risky business, right? Do you keep a guy, that, you think you're going to want to have, and how, so there's a lot of decision making that has to go on for, the coaching staff and Holmes. So, but it was a win. It was looking pretty ugly at the beginning. We were down 14-0 before things turned around a little bit. Defensively, we did get a lot of pressure on the quarterbacks. I think there were. I'm drawing a blank on the number of sacks we had. Give me a second, but I was looking at that, and we had 4 sacks. So, and 2 of those were against Justin Fields. Russell Wilson played 1 series. He was 2 for 2. There's been a lot of talk about, should Justin Fields be the starter? Sounds like Russell Wilson's going to be the starter out there in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, Wilson should definitely be the starter.
Yeah. So, and I think most of that is because of, Justin Fields is shown, he's young. He does have a live arm, right? Like, I'm not trying to shortchange his arm talent because he has it, right? There are things in his passing game that he needs to work on that will make him take him to that next level as of being a quarterback, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's obviously very maneuverable in the pocket, outside the pocket, running the ball. He's durable, right? Because Chicago didn't have a really good team, and he was I think their leading rusher. So, but that's Pittsburgh. So, but here for the Lions, so defensively we were getting some pressure. Offensively, we had some good things. Jake Fromm came in, played. He was 6 for 8.
I like Fromm.
Right. And
so, like,
go ahead.
He had some awesome reads, and it was quick. Hendon Hooker, look, just to kind of like do a little side by side comparison.
Yeah,
Hendon Hooker, all the talent in the world. The guy is electric. I like everything he does. Right, I really do. But you can tell he's a rookie. There's a couple times he would start out a receiver. He'd hold the ball too long, got a sack. Not all the sacks were on the offensive line, but like a lot of them were. Like, it was.
Yeah.
And there was times that also with Hendon Hooker, especially early on in the game, he got pressure. He sidestepped to the left, threw over the lineman, and hit a guy for a first down. Like, beautiful. There was another time which he stood in the pocket, delivered a really good ball, and just got, took stood in the pocket, knowing he get hit. He saw him coming, but took the hit and still delivered the ball. Like, I like Hendon Hooker a lot. So what I'm about to say about Fromm, I'm not in any way trying to sit there and have a QB controversy. I'm not trying to say Fromm's going to overtake Hendon Hooker. I'm just trying to say that Fromm, he looked really good on his reads. His reads were quicker than Hooker, but again, Hooker's a rookie. I take that into, but he got the ball out. He was accurate. And I tell you, Fromm did not look like someone that is like a cast off, like a castaway. Not at all. Like, if there's some way they can keep Fromm as a third, string emergency quarterback, I'd love to see it, because I think personally, and we only saw Fromm today, but I already like him more.
Yep.
than what's his face. I don't even care.
He just seemed more comfortable in the pocket.
Well,
It sounds like
he was
what
also
you're saying.
throwing like 20 yards down the field. Like I didn't see Fromm like unload, but like we didn't see that before. Like with Sudfeld, we didn't see him go down the field at all. Like he's a very like conservative dink and dunk type of quarterback, and even then he's not very accurate. I just liked what I saw from Fromm that little bit. And I know it's not enough, but
it's only one game. He threw 8 passes, but he completed 6 of them.
But they were so good.
And the thing is, he averaged 11 yards an attempt.
Yeah, and look at Nate Sudfeld's average yards per attempt.
Yeah,
is it 5?
Well, Hendon Hooker was only at 5.7 today.
Yeah, he got. He did have a one bomb down the field. It was a pretty decent pass. He needed a little more on it. He gave the quarterback time to kind of catch up some. It was a little underthrown, but still overall a pretty decent pass. It wasn't like a terrible pass.
Sure.
But yeah, like I don't know necessarily. Like I didn't watch the coach's film, so I can't see everybody on the field and kind of see what Hendon Hooker was looking at or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that even though it was like he only averaged a little bit, I don't know. It almost felt like he took what was there.
Yeah,
that's all. Yeah.
And that's fine, right? That's what a quarterback should do. They're not going to try and force it. Take what they give you. You move the ball and then you take your shot when you get it, right? Because it always comes, right? So there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong at all. But I guess what I didn't like is the fact that he was our leading rusher, right? And was he one read and then he was running the ball, right?
No, he was not. No, in fact, most of the time he would hold on the ball too long. Like I was saying earlier on, he was trying to find the pass, and even and multiple times of his and his runs, he always kept his eyes down the field looking to throw it before he finally made the decision to run. Like it was all right until he crossed that line of scrimmage, right? And he had good awareness because as soon as he crossed the line of scrimmage, he knew it and he just kind of took off with it. But no, I didn't feel that way at all.
Okay. Well, that's good. That's good, right? Because to me, I think that was some of the I don't know, young quarterbacks. That's what they get their one look. They might even get a second look to the second receiver, right? And then it's tuck and run, right?
Yep.
Like the clock in their head because the game is so fast, right? That's it. They're going, okay, I got 1, I got 2, tuck, and I'm gone, right?
Yep.
So, and that's when I see those types of numbers, to me, that's what triggered. And that's what had me a little bit worried thinking about, because like I said, I didn't see the game. I'm telling you based on what I saw in the numbers and how I read it. So when I see he only threw for 115 yards or 114 yards and he had 93 yards rushing, what was going on? So, but again, I know he took 5 sacks, and that was the other thing, right? So if he was getting that kind of pressure early, he maybe felt like he didn't have time to make those that third or fourth read, and he had to tuck and run. So anyway, but the Lions were the Lions. We didn't see any of our starters, or any of the big names, I guess. There's still a huge question mark about who our third receiver is, or our fourth receiver, right? Like,
right.
There's nothing but there's like a list of 10 or 12 names on the who caught a ball today, right? Donovan Peoples-Jones had 3 targets, 0 catches, right? So, there's a lot that can be said about that. It's not saying he dropped the ball, good coverage, got tipped, anything could happen, but it was targeted in his direction. He didn't make a reception, right? I just assumed he was going to be.
He's cut. He's done.
I can't imagine they're going to keep him. Like his preseason sucked,
Yeah.
right? And as
Mhm.
a veteran receiver, when it was as bad as it was for you, I can't imagine you're going to be on the team. You're definitely gone,
You're gone.
right?
I mean, like we know like Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, and Cleve Raymond, they're shooting, right?
Yep.
And the way Isaiah Williams was playing, especially for special teams, it was with being the returner. He's
Yep.
on the team. So now, who do we have left? Right, Maurice Alexander, Caden Davis, Tom Kennedy. I don't know. I
Yeah.
like those are the guys. At least they contributed and they did something.
Yeah.
Whereas like Donovan People-Jones, Reese Fountain, and Calhoun. I don't know. I know Fountain and Calhoun had decent games today. They were leading in yards receiving, but it's a little too late, right? It's the last preseason game. Like I know the coaches get to see practices and stuff like that too. I know that takes that comes into account. I know they look at that, but from my perspective, I don't get to see practices. I only get to see what they do on the field, and I think it's too little, too late for Calhoun and Fountain. Donovan Peoples-Jones literally has done nothing. He got 3 passes thrown to him today and caught nothing. But like so Isaiah Williams, I think, is definitely going to be a receiver there. Again, just because of his return ability.
Yep.
And then
what about
really,
Alexander? Alexander caught 4 today for 60 yards too.
Okay.
So it's not like
it be Alexander, Davis, or Kennedy, right?
Yeah. And Alexander, Davis, or Kennedy, yeah. So because you got to think there's going to be they'll keep 4, right?
Wait, of
receivers or more? How many
probably
receivers
6.
you could keep? 6?
Probably 6.
All right.
Yeah.
So
you already got 3.
Yeah.
So Williams would be 4, and then 2 more between Alexander, Davis, and Kennedy.
Yeah,
is what I'd say. And I wouldn't be surprised if they, try to pick up someone else's, trash, that they cut. I wouldn't be surprised if they even tried trading for another receiver, depending on, what they see. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, Williams didn't do bad in the kick return or punt return game today either.
No, like he was, like
I'm telling you, 10 yards per punt and a 37-yard kick return. So
Yep.
You got, when you have added value, when you're talking about those last names, like those last people that don't get cut, the ones that make that 53 man, right? Number 53, number 52, number 51, 50, right? Like those last 4 guys, right? They provide added value to your team, right? And how are they adding that value? And in Williams' case, obviously it's in the return game, right? So you have Cleve Raymond, who's also can be in the return game. But if you put them both back on kicks, like kick returns, like you got to kick the one, especially the way the kickoff rule is now, right? One of those guys is going to get the ball, and it can be electric, especially the way this new kickoff thing is working.
Right.
And, on the punts, same thing. You could be either or, right? And that's always good to have too. So you have that option. But, I just like, who's going to be your starting 3? Who are you going to put out there on the field? Right. And we talked about this last week. There's not, who's the big guy, other than the tight end, right? Receiver wise, who's the big body?
Right.
Right. And Peoples-Jones was supposed to, we thought was going to be that guy that stepped up and became, that guy.
Right.
But that obviously, we anticipate he's going to be cut. He's not even going to be on the team. So you're going to have, rely more on your tight ends and go 3 small receivers and, keep, I don't know. I'm not saying that your three small receivers can't get the job done, right? Because I think and I'm gonna say this now before you do. I'm expecting a breakout season from Jamo.
Okay.
Right.
Mhm.
And when I say, I think he's gonna have 8 to 900 yards receiving. If he's not 1,000-yard receiver, but I'm trying to be conservative, right? So, and that'll be huge for him.
Yeah, it would be.
So, but this is gonna be the year he has that opportunity to do that. St. Brown's gonna be St. Brown. He's tough as hell. He's just like, give me the ball, I'll get the rest done. Give me the ball, right?
Mhm.
And he epitomizes what the team. He epitomizes grit, and that's St. Brown is. I think it was dad, grandpa, either both. They're blue collar football players through and through, right? That's St. Brown. He's a blue collar football player.
It's looking at who is a free agent still as far as wide receivers go. Yeah, like there's not a lot to choose from right now. So, I mean, Michael Thomas, Hunter Renfrow, Corey Davis out of Western Michigan.
Yeah, Corey Davis. I think he's just lazy. Never put in the work. Who's that first one you said?
It was Michael Thomas.
Michael Thomas, old, and he's not going to make a whole season.
No, he's not. He's not going to make a whole season.
Right, and I hate saying it. Football's a tough game,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, it is.
And in his time, he had his moments, and he was a fantastic receiver. Just
But I'll tell you right now, I'm looking like I'd probably give him a shot.
Would you?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Right. I mean, look, he played last year. He played 10 games last year.
Okay.
Right. So he only got 39 catches. It wasn't a ton. I mean, and we know that, right? But he still averaged 11.5 yards per reception. He got 1 touchdown. Like
that's
I don't
4
know.
receptions a game almost.
I'm still thinking, he's still got good size at 6'3". So
yeah, 6'3" is what I'm looking for.
Right at this point, I'd say he's if we're looking at free agents in late August, there's not going to be a lot there, right? No. So just got to keep that in mind.
That's right.
So, but yeah, like I think right now, as far as what the Lions are lacking, Michael Thomas kind of make up for that, and I just don't know. Like what we're going to get out of him, right? Like, but
sure.
I'm just saying, from what I see, he's probably the best one right now that fits what they need.
Okay, and he does, and he has the ability. It's not, again, I thought he was a fantastic receiver. I'm just durability's been a problem late in his career.
Oh, absolutely, ever since 2020, right? He's been the amount of games he's played has been down,
right? And it's bad luck, right? Things happen. That's the way the game is, and I'm not saying that he's not trying to do what he needs to do to stay healthy. It's just, we're looking at it from a perspective like, if we want you on the team, we need you to be on the field to contribute.
I mean, in 2020, he played 7 games. He didn't play it all in 21. He played 3 games only in 22. So that's 3 years, 10 games.
3 years, 10 games.
And then last year he played 10 out of the 17. Right, now, so
the numbers, just based on what you were telling me, were better than I was expecting. But so if he was averaging 4 receptions a game, he's probably obviously he was targeted more than that, right? So
64.
he was at least,
64.
Okay, so again, he's the big body guy. You need that inside the red zone. Someone who's going to be able to, go up and get the ball when the field starts to get short.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and he's playing for the Saints, right? Let's be real about it too. Like
Yep.
last year,
Yep.
they were 9-8.
They were.
Yeah, he didn't exactly have like a very good overall team. Um, no,
They were going back and forth on. Well, no, Derek Carr was out there, right?
yeah, that Derek Carr.
Yep.
Um, yeah,
So anyway,
yeah. Man, we're really getting sidetracked.
I know. Well, but we're talking about who we want on the team. How we're gonna fill out this team, this 53-man team that we want to go to the Super Bowl with,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
I think it's all relevant talk, and
No, it's nothing relevant. It's just,
yeah,
yeah,
but we can get on a off track a little bit, but I know we didn't talk much about the defense. It's more of a overall. I picked out players that I thought we needed to talk about, or just positional, because the receiving position has not been great. Once you get past St. Brown, right? So it's
well, St. Brown's really, truly the only proven player, right?
correct.
For a wide receiver right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then on defense, wasn't too bad, I guess. Like I said,
mean,
they had 4 sacks.
really, for me, the guy that maybe like that stood out to me was Ty Summers.
Okay.
He's the one that stood out to me.
Well,
like he was
yeah.
all over the field today. Made some good plays.
Yep. Oh, and linebacker. That's a position that we've been talking about too.
Yep, it's definitely a position of need.
Yeah. We've been talking about how well what the defensive lines, the front line is going to look like. And our anticipation of what we're hoping for from our new defensive backfield, right?
Right.
So the linebackers was definitely in that position that we. So yeah, no, he had a heck of a game. 9 total tackles, 3 solos. Had a sack and a half, so he was able to get on.
Yeah.
I like it. So.
Yep. I don't know. Like if he's done enough to overall like make the team. I mean, he's a 28-year-old, veteran, right?
Yeah.
So, I don't know if he's done like enough in that scenario, but I don't know.
Yeah. Stephen Gilmore had a pretty good game.
No.
He had 5 solo tackles and a pass defended.
No.
Okay.
No, he looked bad, honestly.
Did he?
Oh, yeah. Right. Yeah. I mean, like, I guess it was more. Look, it was up and down. He had some good plays, right?
Okay.
He had good, nice tackle for a loss, but I mean, when you give up a 59-yard reception, and also get flagged for pass interference, and like, no, you can't really be doing that. Like when you're fighting for a potential spot, not that I don't think he actually was, but
cornerback is. I think we're locked in with the guy. Any of the guys that didn't play today, those are the guys that like these. None of our quarterbacks today are going to make the team.
No, because with Davis, Arnold, Robertson, Rakestraw, Dorsey, and Vildor, those would be the guys.
Those are the guys, right? So like nobody who played defensive back today is going to make the team.
No.
Well, yeah. Not even. No, that's Brandon Joseph. Maybe.
No.
No? You don't think he'll make it?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right.
I mean, well, between Branch, Joseph, and Melifonwu, right? There's 3. So.
Yeah. And the 2 I'm going to go with is Melifonwu and Branch, obviously.
And so the last spot would, because to keep 4 safeties, last spot would go to either Strickland or Joseph. So Joseph has a chance, right? But
Yep.
It's going to be one of those guys. But what I liked about Strickland, and why I right now I think Strickland has the edge, is we know that the Lions like players that can play multiple positions. And today, when the defense shifted to nickel, Strickland moved into the slot.
Okay.
So, and he's younger.
And he's younger. Yep.
So that's just what I'm
No,
gonna go with right now.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess that's kind of the Lions talk for the day. I'm gonna let you start the. We do want to talk about the Tigers, but I want him to talk about what happened today with his favorite player.
Oh, wasn't today.
And
it was yesterday.
Well, it wasn't today. It was yesterday. I'm sorry. So I want to start with that as we transition over to baseball because it's a big deal.
It is a big deal.
And just in the manner in which it happened.
It's like a dream come true, right? So
that's right.
All right. Look, I guess you can say yesterday there was a certain player, my favorite right now in the league, Shohei Ohtani. He had 39 home runs and 39 stolen bases. Before Ohtani, there was only 5 players that have ever joined the 40-40 club. And Ronald Acuna Jr. was the last one last year. So just because he did it last year, people, I think, have a misconception that, it happens more often than what it actually does.
Right.
But so at any rate, Ohtani comes up first at bat, gets a base hit, steals second. So there's his 40th stolen base of the year. I don't think he got a hit the rest of the other at bats until his last at bat of the game. Ohtani comes up, bases loaded, and hits a grand slam home run. So it's a walk-off to win the game, plus his 40th home run. So he got his 40th steal, 40th home run in the same game, where the 40th home run was the game-winning grand slam, which is just an awesome situation.
Yeah. So before we got on and actually started the show live, we were talking, and that's like growing up. It's every kid's dream. Coming
walk
up
off
the
grand
bat,
slam.
Yep.
Bottom of the ninth.
And at the bottom of the ninth, and you walk off, right? And to win the game.
To win the game, yeah.
I told him the only difference is that I always added was Game 7 of the World Series.
And you're usually down by 3, right? So you win by 1.
And you're usually down, right? Not tied.
Yeah.
But the idea is like how incredible it is, one, to make the 40-40 club. So before last year, when was the last 40-40? Who was the last 40-40 club member?
2006.
2006. All right.
Yep.
So you're talking for 17 years it took to get another 40-40 member. Right.
Well, and then the very first member was Jose Canseco. Right. That was back in 1988.
Not the guy I would have expected.
Yeah.
I didn't think he was that fast, but okay.
And then
Barry Bonds. It's about timing.
Barry Bonds was next in 96.
Okay.
So 8 years later, Bonds, and they both had just 40 stolen bases in the entire year. Right.
Okay.
Alex Rodriguez did it 2 years after Bonds in 98. So he had 42 home runs, 46 stolen bases. Mm-hmm. So, and then Soriano then got it again. He had 41 stolen bases. And then of course Acuna, right? He had 73 stolen bases. But the feat that Ohtani did, it was also the fastest as far as games played to get to the 40-40 club.
Okay. Now,
in 126 games, got 40-40.
So the first 3 were done in the 90s, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Well, I'm
sorry, 98.
Canseco was 88 technically. So
88, but okay.
Yeah.
So, and that decade from 88 to 98.
06.
No,
Yep.
06. And then now.
And then 23, and then 24.
23. Yep. Gotcha. So,
Yep.
why not just how baseball has changed in that time frame, right? Like in the just even the 10 years that it happened, the first 3, right? But in the 16 years from the last to last year, like it's almost a generation.
Well, one more thing about Ohtani, and it does not look like it's going to happen now, but there was a time in which it looked like Ohtani was going to be the very first player in the 40-40-40 club. So add in 40 doubles to that.
Gotcha.
You know, like again, it looked like there was a time which it could actually happen, but his hitting has really kind of cooled off some. So I don't want to take anything away. It's still an amazing season.
How many doubles does he have currently?
29.
20. Oh, okay. So he's got that's all. That'd be 11 doubles to come up.
Yeah, 11 doubles in like what 38 games, 36 games,
30 games, something like that. Yeah.
I mean, I mean, sure, it's possible, but not very likely, right?
Now, with those numbers, when you talk about the 40-40-40 club making the playoffs, do playoff games count?
No,
or is it regular?
It's all regular season stats.
It's all regular season. Okay.
Yep.
Gotcha. I mean, I assume that's only seems to be the way it should be, but you know, I've seen crazier things happen.
Yep, definitely. But yeah, and the thing that's really kind of look, I love Ohtani's season. I love that he's having a good one. I love that it's different. But like, this isn't his best offensive season. And at one point in time, it was his best offensive season. Like I said, he's cooled off a lot. His batting average has dropped below 300 because at one time he was also in the running for a Triple Crown, right? Like, but his batting average has dropped off. His on base percentage has cooled off. His slugging is not as good as what it was last year. His ops plus isn't as good as what it was last year. You know, like, so it's and it's mostly due to him having the inability to hit left-handed pitching. His splits is so bad against left-handed pitching. So anyway,
before we actually move to the Tigers, I got one more question about concerning Ohtani.
Okay.
Because I not that I've said, but I haven't looked, not hard anyway. Where he started any throwing, like pitching?
No.
Like rehabbing, kind of like that kind of thing, or is it going to be like a solid year before they start to do that?
Yeah. It won't be a solid year, because again, from what they were saying was, it wasn't like the full type of surgery that everybody else was having, right? So, and I know he did start to throw. Was it last month? I think, and was it July? He started at the beginning of July. I think he started to kind of throw again. Just toss, right? Nothing that's going to put a lot of pressure or yeah. So, but because there was even talk from the manager, I thought that saying that it was a possibility he could even play in the outfield some this year. But I guess they, said no to that, which I'm glad they did because there's no reason you should risk his ability to pitch from playing him in the outfield. But anyway.
Because I thought early seeing that it was possible maybe at first base.
Yeah, I mean, it's again, to me, it's none of it's worth it, right? I'm glad they
why risk other injury when you're playing out on the field like that, right?
Yep.
But no, I know we talked about like the injury itself or his surgery and how it wasn't as bad as his first one,
right?
And I'm thinking about time frame because I know we're coming up on the end of the season. He had his surgery last year at the end of the season, so I knew we were coming up on like a clock. And as far as what that, is he throwing? You said tossing the ball, and that's what I meant when I said I didn't think he's even virtually trying to pitch games, kind of thing. But just trying to get a feel for where it's at. Is it sore? Is it whatever? Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. Well, that should wrap up that Ohtani thing. Other than you still think he can get MVP?
Yeah, he can still get MVP. Again, it's not as much of a shoe-in,
Right.
but it's. I think last time I looked, he was still number one as far as the odds go.
Okay.
Let's see. Let me double check that. Yeah, he's still number one for odds. Francisco Lindor and Ozuna are both second and third. So
Okay. All right.
yeah, it used to be Bryce Harper second, but he fell down too a little bit with some injuries and stuff like that.
I was
So
gonna say I thought I heard he's hurt. So
yeah. But Lindor, he's definitely playing really well. So
yeah. All right. Well, let's move over to the Tigers here as we hit minute 41. Let's just start with today's game. Looked like it kind of started out a little slow. Things started picked up about mid-game.
well, the thing that kind of sucked a little bit was Scoobo. Not that Scoobo sucked, but just that he gave up 3 earned runs. And the thing that sucks about it was they were basically all singles. He had like 6 hits at the time. I think he finished with like 8, I think, but at the time he had 6 hits. And I think 5 were singles, 1 was a double, and they were able to, just put them consecutively to score those 3 runs.
Right.
But that was it, So it kind of sucked for him in that scenario. But yeah, so and then
and he only went 5 innings. Typically, hasn't he been going about 6?
Yeah. But look, there's no reason to really have him go anymore.
Sure.
Because in the 5th inning it was 9-3. Like I wouldn't, Scooble's fine.
Oh no, absolutely.
I
mean, because I was looking at his pitch count. He only had 388 pitches.
Yeah.
5 innings. Right.
But there's really no reason to throw him out there for a 6th, in my opinion. Right. Like,
okay,
you're up 9. You're up. It wasn't a close game. It was 9-3. I'll let your bullpen do some work and let Scooble rest a little bit.
Okay. So there was that, but almost everybody got in on hitting today.
Yep.
And if they didn't get a hit, they at least got walks.
Yep. Jace Young and Creedler, both got a walk.
Yep. So we had well, that's not bad. We had 5 batters walk. We had 6 strikeouts total, 14 hits, 13 runs. 4 doubles, which is really cool. So they were. Now you're gonna say this, but I'm gonna beat you to it. It was the White Sox.
Yep.
So expectations, everybody, expectations. But the idea of it is that you got to beat the teams you're supposed to beat, right? If it's a bad team, you should go out there and you should beat a bad team. And today they were able to do that. Bradley Green.
You're right. You play. Like we always say that in football, right? Like you play the teams that's on your schedule.
Yep.
Yeah. So
doesn't matter if they were the World Series champs the year before. If they're having a bad season, it's a bad team, right?
Yeah.
Do they have the ability to play better? Sure, I'm sure they do. Every team does. Right? So, but yeah, it's but still, this team is so young now, right? All these players that they've called up, and I want you to talk about the kid that we got from the Dodgers you were talking about.
Which one, Sweeney or Lorenzo?
Lorenzo. Right? That's the one that you said that magazine called the Unicorn, right?
Yeah. So they're Baseball America put out like a list of some of the hardest hitters age 21 or younger, I believe was what it was. And right. Lorenzo was on that list. for the Tigers, and they were saying about his average exit velocity 109 and stuff like that. And they call him a unicorn because he's a catcher that can hit and have pop from both sides, right? So he's a switch hitting catcher with home run potential from both sides. So that's why they called it a unicorn. Call him a unicorn. Yeah. And again, there's still a lot of conversation whether or not he's going to stick a catcher. I think for the most part, you hope that he does if you're, in the Tigers organization, because that's where he's going to have the most value to you as a catcher. But if not, first base is an option, especially if Torkelson is not able to produce. So
right. So I think what I said offline was that he, what he's doing right now is great. Can he do it for 162 games?
Yeah, and look, right now he's got a 396 average with 4 home runs in 15 games, right? So like a home run, more often than once every 4 games, which is incredible. Yeah. His ops is a 1318, his slugging is a 771, and by comparison, right? Let's contrast that to what he was doing the same year, but in the Dodgers organization, right? His on-base percentage was 344 with the Dodgers, 547 now. A 547. That's ridiculous. Yeah. His slugging was 356 with the Dodgers, 771 now. And his ops, such an important stat, increased from 700 to 1318. Just, look,
right.
I don't think anyone expects him to keep producing these numbers for the rest of the year, but that's pretty incredible, right? To kind of like get traded, you're not having one of your best offensive seasons, and then you come to Detroit and you just kind of like announce your presence with authority, taking the line from Bull Durham. Yeah. And he does that
Such a
with
great
those
movie.
type of offensive statistics.
We should just do a show and watch the movie.
Yeah, hopefully we wouldn't get in trouble for it, right? Like,
yeah. Well, no one says
we can't show it, right?
We could show the movie, but
yeah,
you could, watch us mouth every line. But anyway, that's but they're great numbers, especially like you said. He came in here over the, after the trade deadline. He and he's playing well, or hitting well, I should say. He's hitting well.
He's hitting well. Yeah, for
he's
sure, hitting. Well. Look, I mean, what's amazing to me is the Tigers' prospects. I mean, you go down the list as far as the prospects go. As far as Max Clark, Jackson Jobe, Kevin McGonigal, Bryce Rayner, Jace Young, which he's going to lose prospect status soon, but as of right now, he's still considered a prospect. Lorenzo, Jaden Ham, How You Lee, Dylan Dingler, who's also going to lose it, but right now he still is. Like, that's some like incredible prospects, and that's just in the top 10. Like, correct. We're not even looking at the other guys, that has a chance to be, something special, which is just, I don't know. Like, this is one of them from my time watching the Tigers and having an interest in their prospects anyways, because I didn't always care, but this is the best prospects I've seen the Tigers have. This is an incredible group of young men that can make a difference in the major leagues.
Yeah. So 4 years from now, and then when they're all on the major league roster, and we're perennial playoff guys, starting at that point, because I don't know, we'll get there, but we'll have 10 years. Be like the olden days,
right?
Be like watching the Red Wings make it to the playoffs every year.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
Yeah. Obviously, everybody wants more than just make the playoffs, right? Everybody wants. Last year, it was a little different with the Lions, only because the Lions hadn't been there in forever. So
Yeah.
just making the playoffs would have been is a
Well,
win.
winning the playoffs, like winning a playoff game,
Winning
I
a
think
playoff game.
was it.
Yes. So making it to the NFC Championship, bonus.
Yep.
But yeah, it's Tigers are young. What do you how do you think the manager's handling all the talent, or what he's got on the roster right now?
I had some questions earlier in the year. I didn't like some of the decisions he was making, but I think right now he's doing a pretty good job. I don't have a lot of complaints. Obviously you're not going to agree with everything somebody does, and so I try to take that into account, right? But for the most part, I'm fine with it. There are a couple things I'd rather see him do, like with Dylan Dingler specifically. I guess I want to see him play a little bit more often. He you don't run on Dylan Dingler. He has a cannon, and he is throwing some guys out already. But and because I think Dylan Dingler is one of those guys that if he ends up developing, like, that could change the whole outlook of your team. Like that, I mean, honestly, that changes everything because catcher's such a vital position, right? So if he turns into something that's even above average, like wow, like that's a huge win for us, and I think that's what we need to figure out. And I just want to see Dylan Dingler play more. That's all.
Okay. All right. So you had some questions where you were questioning batting lineup and order for some of the players. Consistency, I think it was.
That was earlier in the year too, right?
Right.
So earlier in the year, there was it was constantly changing, and especially like around May and June, I think it was, like before the All-Star break, it was really like all over the place. It's been a little more consistent now. Like you're always going to get him wanting to play the righty lefty game, for the matchups.
Sure.
That's just who he is, and you're not going to change that. And okay, fine.
Yep.
But like you see him kind of moving players up and down based on matchups as well as if they're hot or not. Like today he had Vierling batting first, but I think 2 games ago against the Cubs, I think he was batting fifth
or sixth. Yeah.
But so some players is gonna like move up and down. I don't like Riley Green in the 4-hole. I think that's just a bad place for Riley Green. I don't think he fits the 4-hole. And he's definitely, of course, obviously a top of the order guy. I'm not trying, but like just not the 4-hole hitter. He should. Right. I just don't think he should be there. I keep saying it over and over again. I think Riley Green does better when he has more protection under him, like behind him.
So
I think the guy
like
that should
3-hitter.
Yeah, I think like 2 or 3.
Okay.
I really think that he's a pretty good solid 2-hitter overall. And I'd love to see Parker Meadows because, dude, like I can go on and on and on about like lineup strategies as with between Meadows, Green, Vierling, Keith. Like I think those are the guys that you're going to want to move up and down around the top 4 based on a number of different things I don't want to go into right now because again it'll be way too long of a conversation. But Meadows is so good on the base paths, right? Like you really want him more in the top of the order, and he's actually been pretty good as of late too since he's been back. Let me see if I can't get his splits here because it's like what he was doing is really, really good. So we're trying to pull this splits now, but because I want him at the top of the order. He'll get on base, and he has good base running ability. So if we go back to July, we'll say July 5th, until now. So that's 18 games, right? In 18 games, he's got 7 doubles, 2 triples, 2 home runs.
Wow.
That's a 348 batting average. He doesn't walk a lot. That's the only problem with him, like as far as leadoff goes. Like he doesn't walk a lot, but he obviously has some pretty decent ability, bat to ball skills. But that's a 348 batting average, right? That's a 978 ops. So that's really, really good.
Yeah.
So, excuse me. I really like that as like that could be like another good number 2 or even 3 hitter.
Mm-hmm.
I know this is gonna surprise a lot of people, but I heard that Matt Vierling takes more pitches than any other hitter in Detroit's lineup. All right, so and that's something that you kind of like to see for a leadoff hitter, someone that's willing to take pitches.
Yeah.
I don't personally think that he's a very good like candidate for leadoff hitter, but and he's got 95 strikeouts and 24 walks. So again, he doesn't really walk a lot either, but I guess he just takes a lot of pitches. But anyways, I think you can do between like all those guys. I think you can come up with something. I don't like Riley Green in the leadoff spot either. I know sometimes he was up there this year. But I'd like to see Riley Green in the 2 or 3 hole almost every single game, and depending on where Meadows, Vierling, and others kind of go.
Okay. Yeah.
That's kind of a long explanation. I mean,
well, no, but it's stuff that we've talked about and things that you've talked, just your frustration about how, from a hitting standpoint, like I'm hitting 7 and now I'm hitting 3 and then I'm hitting, like trying to be, I don't know that it changes your approach to the plate.
Sometimes it can.
Okay.
Because like sometimes you want to be more aggressive, because like if you have some protection behind you in the lineup, they might be more aggressive to try to get you out because they don't want you to get on base. They want to give you a free pass. They're going to be, more pitches to be over the strike zone. Like that might change your approach as far as you being more aggressive. If you know the ball is going to be over the plate, you might want to swing more often, at the first or second pitch, as opposed to, taking those pitches and kind of working the count. So yes, it can. But, and that's also why you kind of want to work towards that specific player's strengths or weaknesses. If they prefer to swing at the first pitch, then great. Like, maybe give them that ability to, right? Sure. Yeah. Anyway. And then Colt Keith, I would love to see that guy more in like the 4-hole. I think he could be the 4-hole hitter. He could also be a 3-hole hitter. And in his last 43 games, not counting today, he's got 7 home runs, 3 triples, 4 doubles, a 303 batting average, a 358 on base, and 852 ops. So that, again,
that's not bad.
I can see him being more of a 3 or 4 or 4 hole hitter.
So was that like
honest?
What's that? 14 extra base hits.
Well,
7, 3, and 4. Is that what you said?
It was 13.
13. Okay.
13 doubles, 3 triples, and 11 home runs.
Okay, yeah, it was way more than that. That's a lot of extra base hits.
Yeah.
In the games, in like the number of games that you're talking about, so he's definitely hitting the ball well.
He's hitting the ball well.
Yep.
Yeah. Especially as of late, right? Like he's really seeing the ball good, and what I really like about it specifically is his ability to kind of get around on the fastball, especially up high. Like that was one of the things that I thought might be like a little bit of time to acclimate. And of course, he needed some time anyways. He wasn't always,
well, at the beginning of the year, like after, first 20 games or so, I think he was at 181, batting 181, right around 200. I mean, it was low or lower, So he's definitely come around a lot since I'm being called up. So
yeah, like it was. I'm trying to think what it was too, but it was definitely low. But I'm obviously glad to see that he is doing what we all knew he would eventually do. Anybody who watches baseball and watches it, him at the plate knows that he's not going to be like that guy. That's not going to work out. Like you just knew he was going to. Just a matter of time.
Well,
yeah, his first 26 games, he was batting 154.
154. So I knew it was. Yeah, it was abysmal. But
yeah,
he was also adjusting, right? Because I know you've talked about this on lots of our many of our podcasts, on many of our episodes about how that transition for hitters from AAA to the majors, it's a huge leap from in pitching.
It's never been bigger than what it is now.
Correct, and as a hitter, that's while AAA is supposed to prepare you, you never get as prepared as you needed to be until you're actually at the plate and the guy's throwing 103 miles an hour right across your ear.
Right. But look, I want to do something else real quick.
Okay.
All right. I've been very critical of the Tigers, and I want to kind of give them a little bit of props, right? Because when they deserve it, they deserve it, and I think that they actually deserve it. So, we go up to like July after the All-Star break. They took on the Dodgers, and they beat the Dodgers in terms of like that. They won 2 out of 3 games. Okay. Then they go to the Blue Jays and they win 2 out of 3 out of Blue Jays. Then they play the Guardians in a 4-game set and they win 2. Now they lost the series of the Twins, the very next one, but they still took at least 1 game. They lost 2-game set against the Guardians again. Okay, that's fine. And then so they kind of had a losing streak here, right? So they kind of lost the Twins, lost to the Guardians, and then they lost to the Royals. They lost 3 out of 4 games to the Royals, and that was in early August. Now, starting August 6th, Tigers played 3 games against the Mariners, 1-2. Tigers played 3 games against the Giants, 1-1. But I'll get back to that game in a second. Then they go back to the Mariners again, and they sweep them. Win all 3. Play against the Yankees. They win 2 games against the Yankees. Play against the Cubs. And they only won 1 game against the Cubs for that series. But they also had a game which has scored 8 runs. And now going against the White Sox, and they won 2 games so far. So, as far as their ability to win, we're starting to see the Tigers winning more than what they're losing, and that's going all the way back since the All-Star break.
Break.
Yeah. I didn't expect it to happen. I thought that after the All-Star break, we'll see a lot of these prospects come up. I expected prospects to kind of struggle a little bit. I expected the Tigers to start dropping more games. You have to think about it too, because we don't have Flaherty. And Flaherty was a big part of that starting rotation. He was the second best pitcher on the team, and but they're winning more, and a lot of it has to do with with that offense. A lot of it has to do with these young players stepping up in the right moments.
Correct.
Yep.
And that's what you hope for, right? Because I know not the All-Star break, at the trade deadline, we thought this team was going to look really different.
Yes, we did.
Right?
Yep.
Like the anticipation and the thought of what this team was going to look like, because we were talking Flaherty was going to be gone, Skubal was going to be gone, right? Some of the the other guys, the other players that did leave were going to be gone, right? Like it was just going to be,
Mm-hmm. Well, what we thought
65% new players on the team.
What I said about Skubal specifically is it depends on if the Tigers feel that they're close. If management feels the Tigers are close to winning and say they can, compete not just for a playoff spot, but for, like make a deep run in the playoffs in 2 years, you keep Skubal.
Yep.
Because he's that good, right? So, they must really have a lot of confidence that they're going to be able to make that run.
Yeah. Yeah. And, well, if you look at the second half of the season so far, I mean, they're starting to hit, right? Those pieces that they've talked about, they're there and they're doing what they've asked them to do.
Yeah.
So, but well, you want to be optimistic about it, right? And I think the team's gonna be, based on my prediction, I still think they're gonna be right about my prediction. Well, no, they can't. Like I said, they're gonna win 90. So
yeah, and I thought they're going to win slightly more than half. I think I had them at 84. If I remember correctly.
So I think it'd be close to being 500.
Yeah, they'll be about another 81 win team.
Yep. So, but again, looking at the second half, these things are the things that got to carry over to next year, right?
Yes, and the Tigers have to learn how to start fast. They can't just have these slow starts every single year and then try to dig their way, back from the grave.
Well, they technically did have we'll call it a fast start this year. They were the last team in the league to lose a game.
Were they? You sure?
I'm almost positive.
I don't remember.
I think they were the last undefeated team. But I don't know.
Let's see. See if I can Google it. I don't want to say that. That's the wrong one.
So, but yep, that's the Tigers were going to go 162-0. that how wow, what a phenomenal thing that would be.
Anyway, I kind of found it with a quick Google search, so it doesn't matter. At any rate, anything else there, brother? You got?
I got nothing. No.
All right. Well, me neither. Look, actually, one more last thing. I was just thinking about it.
Yeah.
Because we were talking about Ohtani possibly having a 40-40-40 season, the first player ever to do that.
Yep.
Well, one thing I didn't think about at the time was he could be the first player to have a 50-50 season.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Because you said the 40-40, and when I'm thinking about the number of games he's got left, that is feasible.
It's feasible. And I didn't think about it until I was looking at the Dodgers today, and they're still playing at 7-5, but I saw that Ohtani hit a home run today for number 41. So that's what got me thinking, about him being able to do the 50-50. So,
yeah.
That'd be incredible, though. Anyway. Anytime if Ohtani does get 50-50, if that actually happens, which would be very difficult to do, I totally get that.
Mm-hmm.
He would have to be MVP.
Well,
because that's never been done before. Like he would have to be MVP.
Well, it's like Aaron Judge beating him out that one year because he broke the home run record, the AL home run record, right? Like it just. You hate doing it that way, but I mean, when something hasn't been done in that long, well, you kind of want to, or ever, kind of puts a little check in the box, right?
Yes.
The whole
Yes, it
thing
does.
about him just being a DH goes out the window, and he's still a 50-50 guy. So,
Yeah.
all right, brother. Well, as always, we love talking about sports here. You know, we can't get off track. We do go into detail, but that's just what we do. This is our fun.
It's
So
fun. Yeah.
it is. And, you know, the hope is that you guys learn something new. I guess it's not my hope, but
No,
if you're
just
getting
more or less
something
just
new,
enjoy.
enjoy what you hear. Enjoy what you hear. But share it with your friends. Share it with your friends. And hit the subscribe button.
We'll be forever grateful. And we'll, look, we always have plans doing a couple different things. We don't get paid for doing this. We were talking about this before we went on. This is just our fun time here. We're two brothers of an opposite sides of a state. Don't get a chance to see each other very much. And this is our way of just, talking. That's actually how this whole show came about, right?
Yeah.
It's like we call up each other, talk sports anyways. And it's like, why not just record it? I don't know.
Just record it.
Why not do it? So that's what we did. And that's what we do. We just talk sports because we love talking sports. But anyways, we definitely appreciate any sort of like or subscribe that you guys do. And if you made it this far, we appreciate you. And we'll just talk to you next time.
Yeah. Take care, everybody.
Thanks for listening to No Pads Sports Talk. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. While you're at it, help spread the word by leaving a rating and review wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow us on social media at No Pads Sports Talk.